Shame, my loves. This is your girl, Empress Goddess, the Georgia Peach with the sweet meat. I hope all is well with y'all. They shut my first stream down a while ago. I don't know something about copyright content that wasn't supposed to be on there. It's an audio book that I own. I've been broadcasting audio books. That's what I do. I purchase these audio books with all this knowledge and stuff in it, so I can present it to you all. My family, the tribe. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, one monkey don't stop no show, does it, my loves? They don't want me to get this content out to y'all. They don't want y'all to know who you are. They don't want y'all to know yourself. Good thing I did Scorpio know first, because that's what I am. Oh my goodness, my loves. So anyway, my babies, we're gonna go into this from Hebrews to Negroes. Okay? By Ronald Dalton Jr. I guess I better say this. I have no copyrights to this content, my babies. This is strictly for entertainment purposes. For educational purposes. They got me all bumfounded this morning. This is strictly for educational purposes. Under the Fair Use Act of 1976, 107 for educational purposes. Now, my babies, let's get in there. From Hebrews to Negroes. Go there, my loves. Know thyself.
Chapter 9. Putting things into perspective. What are the cold, hard facts? Apostle Mark was a Libyan Jew, and in those days, there were a lot of Jews/Hebrews living in Libya, as you will see also. Abraham and the children of Israel dwelt in the land of Canaan. Jacob was buried in the land of Canaan. The 12 sons of Jacob often crossed between Egypt and Canaan. Per the Bible, the children of Israel were a mixture of the nations of Ham, most notably the Canaanites and the Egyptians. This would mean that if the ancient Hebrews were not already black, as evident by the scriptures and by looking at pictures of their cousins, the ancient Elamites who lived 4,000 years ago in Babylon/Persia, then they would surely look like the different shades of African Americans today, thanks to race mixing from slavery. After the destruction of Solomon's temple in 70 AD, we know that a large number of Israelites dispersed all throughout Africa, east, central, west, and south. Many African tribes, still to this day, show cultural evidence of Hebrew influence. A lot of African tribes still circumcise their baby males on the 8th day, just as in Leviticus 12:3. The Egyptians, Ethiopians, and Hebrews are the only nations who have documented proof that they were circumcising thousands of years ago. The ancient Egyptians and Ethiopians circumcised because of their Hebrew religious influences, which came from God. The Canaanites would also learn and practice circumcision on their babies and men, as noted in the biblical story, the slaughter of the men of Shechem, in Genesis chapter 34. Many African countries like Nigeria, Cameroon, and Ghana circumcised their babies on the 8th day, as instructed by God to Abraham in Genesis 17:12. Genesis 17:12. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. In 2012, a film was released in New York City called Reemerging, the Jews of Nigeria. In the documentary, the Igbo Nigerians trace their heritage and descendants to the ancient Hebrew Israelites, with documented proof. However, because of black racism in Israel towards anybody of Afro descent claiming to be descendants of the Israelites, they were rejected by Jewish leaders to be allowed to return to Israel. Many slaves who were stolen from Nigeria and brought to America, Virginia, Maryland, South Carolina, and North Carolina were of Igbo or Yoruba descent. They were often called Igbos, Hebos, and Igbos by the white man, derived from the word Igbo. It is said that the first British explorers to step in Nigeria identified the Igbos as a branch of Hebrews. Among the Igbos of Nigeria, Dr. George Thomas Basden, 1938. It is said that many slave traders called their slaves Ebos, Hebos, and Ebos, which many say was a corruption of the word Hebrew, Heber, or Eber. Perhaps slave traders also knew who the slaves were because the city on the Atlantic coast of Benin, west coast of Africa, where slaves were sold, was called Ouda, which in Old French means Judah. Africans living there today pronounce the name of their city in their language as Judah, just as the word Judah in English. The remains of the slave fort, the Fort of Judah, still resides there, where it is called the Door of No Return, a place believed to be where the descendants of the children of Israel were sold into slavery. The official language of Benin today is French. The Portuguese came to this city in the 1500s and named it Ajuda, meaning Judah in their language. On 1747 African maps, this area reads Kingdom of Judah. Above Benin, Guinea proper, in the area where the old Ghana Empire existed years ago, the words Negro land can be seen written down as well. This map also places Ethiopia inferior, where West Africa is, Ethiopia superior, where Central/Southeast Africa is, and Oceanus Ethiopiacus, where the Atlantic Ocean is today. Why would the Portuguese and the French name this city after Judah and name the slave fort Fort of Judah if they did in fact know that the slaves they were putting on the boats were in fact the Yehudi, or children of Judah, aka the children of Israel? This was the same argument Ella J. Hughley made in her book, The Truth About Black Biblical Hebrew Israelites, Jews, the World's Best Kept Secret, in 1982. Ella J. Hughley knew, like others, that from the slave trade, the descendants of the Black Hebrew Israelites called Africans or Negroes were scattered throughout the world. The connection to our Israelite heritage would be further lost because of the separation from the continent of Africa. Deuteronomy 32:26. I would scatter them into the corners of the earth. I would make the remembrance of them to cease among men. Hebrew African language similarities, Nigerian Igbo. It is easy to see in the Bible that the Hebrew Israelites were not European Caucasians. The Hebrew Israelites dwelled with the sons of Ham in the hot climates of Africa. They intermarried with the sons of Ham in the scriptures. They were enslaved in Egypt for 4 centuries during a time period when the Egyptians were black in appearance with woolly hair. This is all documented by historians that lived in these time periods. We know that the Israelites were not scattered or taken into Europe after their many bouts of exile and captivity. That being said, we have to assume that the descendants of the Hebrew Israelites would be in Africa and Arabia during the time period after destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, 70 AD. Knowing all of this, I wanted to see if there were any traces of Hebrew in the different African dialects. I was amazed at what I had found. For example, in modern Hebrew, the word bayit means house. In Igbo, the Hebrew word bayit is hidden but not gone. Behi is hidden in the Igbo word ib-ai, meaning our home or our house. Ulo also means home or house in Igbo, but it can be transcribed as ulo-ei. Ib doesn't mean house because Ib in Igbo refers to a place which can be transitioned from a place to house or home, assuming we put Ib-ai. Ib-ai, which sort of sounds like Bei in the Igbo language, is similar to the Hebrew word Beit if you drop out the T from the Hebrew word Beit. The name for house in Hebrew and Igbo then becomes very strikingly similar to Behi/Ib-ai. Likewise, Emet in Hebrew refers to the act of doing, but in Igbo, Imi also means the act of doing or something that is happening. But notice the only difference is that the T is lost. The last demonstrable example is Husot. in modern Hebrew, which is derived from the ancient Hebrew word yusuf, meaning street, road, or roadway, which is pronounced uzo in Igbo. You see, uzo in Igbo refers to street, road, or roadway, just like yusot refers to street or roadway in Hebrew. They are both pronounced the same despite the different languages. However, in the Igbo version of the word for street/roadway, the letter T is lost and the letter Z replaces the letter S. In Hebrew, the sixth day is called Ishi, and in Igbo, six is pronounced Isi. In Hebrew, Amo Israel/Israel is the name for children of Israel because Amo means children of. Some Igbos call themselves Umu Israel because Umu means children of. Now, Amo and Umu sounds kind of similar, and both words in these different languages mean children of or children. This is so mind blowing that it should make people think, why are certain African languages similar to the Hebrew language? Either way you look at it, it is not a coincidence that the Nigerian Igbo language is similar to the Hebrew language. Remember, over the years, European white countries have partitioned and renamed most of the lands of Africa, except Ethiopia. In the process, they also influenced the different dialects of the many African countries. We know this is so because there are some Africans that can speak French, Arabic, Portuguese, and Italian. This may be the reason why there have been changes in the dialects of many African countries over the years. However, some of these African tribes have kept some of their original forefathers' spoken tongue in their language today, if you really research the language and compare it to ancient Hebrew/Semitic languages. Originally, the Black Hebrews language in Africa were Semitic, but over thousands of years, this Semitic language was changed and almost lost. But this doesn't mean that it is lost forever. The Ethiopian Ge'ez and Amharic language has Semitic roots, giving it similarities to the ancient Hebrew/Aramaic language. The Ethiopians, despite having a short war with the Italians, were able to preserve their ancient historical records, books, culture, religion, and language. It is a known fact that even until now, there are some Ethiopian villages that send all the women who are on their period into another town/village until they are off their period. There is also the Ashanti ambassadors from the Ashanti tribe in Ghana, who in the 1800s were known to wear the Hebrew priestly breastplate of judgment with 4 rows of 3 stones, each representing the 12 tribes of Israel, as stated in Exodus 28:17-20. Many African tribes still blow the shofar, ram's horn, used to announce feasts, festivals, or the engagement in war, as written in the Bible, such as in Joshua 6:4. These are all Hebrew traditions. But how can this be going on in African villages if the Hebrews were white? How could there be Africans that have Hebrew heritage hidden in their culture? How could Africans be descendants of the Hebrew Israelites if they were originally white, like America teaches today? Surely white people cannot turn into black people with woolly hair. Even if they lived in the hottest climates in Africa or Arabia, they still wouldn't turn black. It's not in their DNA. So what is going on? Either the ancient Hebrew Israelites were white or they were black. Someone has to be an imposter, and that means that someone is lying to the people of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Why would blacks in Africa possess this in their culture still after 2,000 years? We know it's been scientifically proven through DNA that all mankind originated from black people of color in Africa. We also know that a white couple cannot ever produce a black child with tight, curly, kinky hair, no matter how long they live and stay in the sun. This is a topic that cannot be refuted or disputed. Therefore, the black Hebrew Israelites came first, then were scattered per Bible prophecy into Africa/Arabia, and from there, the slave trades further scattered them into the 4 corners of the earth. 1st AD, Roman Judean historian Flavius Josephus even documented how the Hebrew Israelites got into Africa in his works. And now, since his Roman Emperor Titus soldiers were already quite tired with killing men, and yet there appeared to be a vast multitude still remaining alive. Caesar gave orders that they should kill none but those that were in arms and oppose them, but should take the rest alive, but together with those whom they had orders to slay. They killed the aged and the infirm, sick, but for those that were in their flourishing age and who might be useful to them, they drove them together into the temple and shut them up within the walls of the court of the women. But of the young men, he chose out the tallest and most beautiful and reserved them for the triumph. And as for the rest of the multitude that were above 17 years old, he put them into bonds, chains/shackles, and sent them to the Egyptian mines. But those that were under 17 years of age were sold for slaves. Now the number of those that were carried captive during the whole war was collected to be 97,000. Flavius Josephus, the works of Flavius Josephus, Wars of the Jews, 1st century AD. Hebrew African language similarities, Bantus lands. The Bantus lands of Congo, Angola, Gabon, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Cameroon, and Tanzania have similar languages, alphabets, and meanings of words as compared to the Hebrew language. There are over 200 Bantu languages, some even counting over 500 languages scattered across the many tribes of the Bantus lands of Africa. The Bantus languages supposedly descend from the land which is now known as Cameroon in West/Central Africa. The capital of Cameroon is Yaoundé. Judah in Hebrew is pronounced Yehuda or Yahuda, depending on who you ask. In Congo, right below Cameroon and to the east of Gabon, there is a small town called Kangelo. The word Kangelo derives from two Aramaic Hebrew words. One, kon in Hebrew means settle, establish. Two, gelo in Hebrew means exile. So in Hebrew, Congolo or Congolo means settle in exile. So perhaps this means that when the Black Hebrew Israelites settled in what is now called the town Congolo in the Congo, Africa, they named it thus so because they were settling there in exile. Amazing what stuff one can find about their history if you simply do the research. In Hebrew, bar or ben means son, and in the Bantus language it is bena, bana, or ba. Coincidence? In Hebrew, water is me'im. In the Bantus language, it is me'i. Coincidence? I don't think so. In Hebrew, 7 is Sheba, and in Bantus, it is Saba or Samba. In Hebrew, thanks/praise is Tanda, and in the Bantus language, it is Tando or Matando. Now, all of these language similarities are by no means a coincidence. People, we need to seriously start waking up. In Hebrew, to marry is Baal, and in Bantus it is Bala. In Hebrew, to play or laugh is Saka, and in Bantus it is Saka. In the Bantus language, power is called Yeabe,
What's up,
similar
love?
to the shortened name of God, Yah, from the Old Testament. In the Bible, God, the Father, is all powerful, and when God's Holy Spirit is in us, we have power. In Hebrew, Yahweh means Yah is the Father. King David's nephew Joab, pronounced in Hebrew,
Hey, I know
Yahab,
we
means
from
Yah
here,
is the
but I'm
Father.
trying to get. I
Cameroonians,
still
who make
want to
up the
put. Yeah,
Bantus
I'm
African
not
people,
biased to
speak
anyone. I put
24
all the
different
information out
African
there. Let
dialects,
everybody
including
discern from
English
that for
and
themselves.
French.
See
They
what I'm
acquired
saying?
these
I don't
additional
push
languages
what
when
I
white
believe on
European
nobody.
slave traders came in the
I know what
1500s,
it is,
later
but
on
I put it
dividing up
all
the
out there.
lands.
Let them
However,
decipher the
despite the
information.
similarities of the Bantus language and the Hebrew language, we don't see Cameroonians professing their ancient Hebrew heritage to be allowed
Right
to
now, I'm
return to
sitting here
Israel.
messing with my
The ancient
ancestry
Hebrews
tree,
also dressed
broadcasting
similar
this.
to the way Africans dressed then and now. The Israelite men and women wore bonnets, Leviticus 8:13, Exodus 28:40, just as the ancient Nubians/Cushites wore thousands of years ago. The Israelite men and women wore garments and fringes, Numbers 15:38 through 39, Deuteronomy 22:12. The Israelite men wore girdles, Acts 21:11, just as some African tribes still do till this day. The Israelite men, women, and their sons wore golden earrings. Genesis 35:4, Exodus 35:22, Exodus 32:2-3. Just as some African tribes, regardless of sex,
I've been trying to find an audio book on Indigenous America, but I can't find them. But I'm still looking though. I'm digging, but right now I'm just broadcasting this. Like I say, I don't try to push what I believe on nobody. I know what I believe. I talk about what I believe, but I put any information about us melanated people. I put it all out there. So it's up to whoever to believe what they want to believe. You understand?
do till this day. The Israelite women wore bonnets, bracelets on the legs/arms, headbands, earrings, rings, and nose jewels, just as Africans, African Americans, and other black races still wear till this day. Isaiah 3:19-21.
But you're wrong about one thing though. All melanated people were called Ethiopians, meaning skin kissed by the sun. And yes, we are Hebrews, but we're not from Africa. We're from here because there were Hebrews right here in America. This is Atlantis right here. So I know what the deal is.
You don't believe me? Look it up for yourself in the Bible and visit Africa. You won't find these cultural practices among Europeans or Arabs. Isaiah 3:20-21. The bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels. Note, who else wears nose rings, leg jewelry, headbands, and earrings? People living in southern India, Dravidian, who, like blacks, are different shades of brown and are genetically related to the different brown-skinned natives of Southeastern Asia.
Truth be told, we were everywhere. We weren't just in Africa. We weren't just in America. We were on every continent on this planet. Is the truth be told about it?
Example, Andaman/Jarrah tribe, Negritos, Australian Aborigines. Their heritage also is purportedly traced to Madai, Japheth, and Elam/Arphaxad, Shem, and Cush. Fascinating, isn't it? Chapter 10, The Great Deception. I encourage everybody to ask questions and do their own research. Don't just accept everything we were taught by westernized education to be true. White Europeans for centuries have influenced our education in America and also helped produce all the Bibles we use today with their many differences when compared to other Bibles: Greek, Ethiopian, Hebrew, Latin, Catholic, etc. The best way to control people is to use religion and literature. In today's time, Satan is using fear, money, the law, military/police, and the media to also further control people. We are being brainwashed from right under our noses because people tend to believe anything they are shown on TV or given in a school book. Remember, man can easily hide the truth from ever seeing the light of day and can also manipulate any information he wants the public to see. Just like magic or illusions, the goal is to trick the viewer into believing that what the magician is showing you is real. The general public still does not have access to viewing the Dead Sea Scrolls found in Qumran, Israel, near the Dead Sea during 1946 to 1956. The scrolls were written on papyrus paper, the same material the Hebrew Bible was written on. The scrolls contained the earliest known manuscripts of books contained in the original Hebrew Bible and books not included in our King James Bible, such as the Book of Jubilees, the Book of Jasher, and the Book of Enoch. Some of these
Hey, good
other
morning,
books
love.
are
How you
in
doing
the
today?
Ethiopian Bible, and many of them are mentioned by the prophets in the Bible. So
I was streaming astrology for the soul, and they shut the stream down. See, because I had some content in there wasn't supposed to be in there for a book. It's a book that I own now. All of a sudden, you want to shut it down. So I said, well, I ain't even gonna argue with them. The heck with it. They don't want me to put this knowledge out here.
why have all the Dead Sea Scrolls been hidden from the public by Israel? Perhaps it is maybe because they don't want us to know what the books in the Hebrew Bible say in comparison to our King James inspired Bible. Supposedly in Genesis 4:1 in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Hebrew version, it has been reported to read, and Adam knew his wife Eve, who was pregnant by Samuel, Satan, and she conceived and bare Cain. And he was like the heavenly beings and not like the earthly beings. And she said, I have gotten a man from the angel of the Lord. If Cain was the offspring of Satan or a fallen angel slash evil angel, then that would make Cain and his offspring the seed of the serpent, their father being Satan, as Jesus told the Pharisees in John 8:44 and Matthew 23:33. John 8:44. Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Matthew 23:33. Ye serpents, ye generations of vipers, how can ye escape the damnation of hell? Even John the Baptist called these certain Pharisees and Sadducees generations of vipers. But why would Jesus and John the Baptist call the Pharisees serpents? Matthew 3:6-7. And were baptized of him in Jordan, confessing their sins. But when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his baptism, he said unto them, O generation of vipers, who hath warned you to flee from the wrath to come? After Cain commits the act of killing Abel, God punishes Cain and his seed forever. Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity, hostility, between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, Cain's seed, and her seed, seed of Eve or Seth. It shall bruise the head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. In Genesis 4:14, Cain is cursed by God to be a vagabond, wanderer without any home in the earth. But Cain is worried about other people out in the world killing him. God then puts a mark on Cain so that vengeance would be sevenfold on the person that killed Cain. But who can kill Cain when he already killed his only sibling, Abel? And there is no mention of anyone else being born unto Adam, Eve, or any other human beings. In addition, Cain found a wife, but there is no mention of any other people being born outside of Cain and Abel. What is also interesting is that in the King James Bible of 1611, there's a page that has a diagram of Adam and Eve's lineage down to Noah. Along the line of Cain, there are multiple images of the Freemason handshake with each generation of Cain's family tree. Along the line of Seth's family tree, there are no images of the Freemason handshake. Also, in the page that shows the lineage of Jesus through Joseph, all the way up to Nathan, King David's son, there are no Freemason handshake images. However, there are images of Freemason handshakes starting from King Solomon's union with the Pharaoh's daughter all the way down his bloodline. King Solomon strayed away from God and worshiped the many pagan gods of his many wives. Hiram Abiff, the supposed architect and person behind the building of Solomon's temple, is viewed as the founding father of the Freemasons. It is interesting that from King Solomon's union with the Pharaoh's daughter began the supposed other line of Freemasonry. What does ancient Egypt have to do with Freemasonry? Easy. Freemasonry, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the Rosicrucians, and other occult societies have known ties to ancient Egyptian cultural practices. King Solomon, while married to his pagan worshiping wives, was also known to be able to control demons with his Ring of the Fisherman, Seal of Solomon, aka the Talisman of Saturn, and his occultist knowledge. Many people believed with these tools, King Solomon had supernatural abilities, including the powers to communicate with animals, summon genies, expel demons, fallen angels/spirits, and even have control over them. The Egyptians and their magicians/sorcerers believed in these types of rings or talismans that could enable its user magical powers. Remember, it was the ancient Egyptians that believed that Osiris, god of the dead/underworld, was their god. Osiris, usually depicted with the green face, was from the Orion constellation. Isis, his wife, was from the star Sirius. After the death of Osiris, Isis was aided by Satan, who was also called Sirius the dog star/constellation Canis Major, Anubis, and sometimes Set, to find the body. Here is a statement from 33-degree Grand Master Freemason Albert Pike. Isis was aided in her search for the slain body of Osiris by Anubis in the shape of a dog. He was Sirius, Satan, or the dog star, the friend and counselor of Osiris, and the inventor of language, grammar, astronomy, surveying, arithmetic, music, and medical science, the first maker of laws, and who taught the worship of the gods and the building of temples. Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma, page 376, Teachings of the 24th Degree, Prince of the Tabernacle. So Albert Pike is admitting here in his statement that Osiris's friend was Satan masquerading as Sirius. Throughout the centuries, Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, has been recognized by most occultists and esoteric teachers as the location where Lucifer and his hierarchy dwell. In Christian terminology, Sirius is simply a secretive code word for hell. Christian author Texel Mars, Book of New Age Cults and Religions, 1990, page 299.
Charles, if you in there, I got something for you. Are Indians related to Africans? The genetic ancestry of these first Indians constitute 50 to 65% of our DNA today. Thus, pure Indians never really existed. All human beings are descended from Africa. After this first migration, apparently there were 3 more waves of major migrations into India, and now new migrants mixed with the local population. So, to put aside all these disputes, because like I said, black people were on every continent on this world, on this earth. So, to put back any so-called disputes or arguments, are Indians related to Africans? The genetic ancestry, I'm going to say it again, the genetic ancestry of these first Indians constitutes 50 to 65% of our DNA today. Thus, pure Indians never really existed. All human beings are descended from Africa. All right? All human beings are descended from Africa. Point blank, period.
Famous Freemason Albert Pike also revealed in his book, Morals and Dogma, that the pentagram masons call the blazing star of their lodges represents Sirius, the dog star. Pike even referred to Sirius as the guardian and guide of our souls, which to the ancients was the sun. Morals and Dogma, page 15 through 16. Astrology, symbols, and marks are used in the ancient Egyptian religion. Osiris's son Horus, usually depicted with a falcon head or sun on top of his head, would be known as the Eye of Horus or the Eye of Ra, as he would lose his left eye in a fight with his uncle Set, usually depicted with an anteater animal-like face. This is why perhaps we see the all-seeing eye of Horus/Ra at the top of the pyramid in Freemasonry symbolism, as well as on our dollar bill, synagogues in Catholic churches, on the Israeli Supreme Court building, and on TV everywhere we look. Moving forward, in Genesis, it says that from Seth came another seed. The Bible also states that after this man then began to call upon the name of the Lord, Yahweh. Genesis 4:25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God, said she, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Eon.
Just like y'all don't hear me saying that I'm here, I'm just a little tired, y'all, because I have been going pretty hard here the last couple of weeks. But I'm trying to get this information out, They have suspended one of my live streams. I was telling Ronald because they don't want me to get this truth out there. But see, I know how I believe, and I'm not like a lot of people on YouTube. I don't try to push my beliefs on anyone. I express my beliefs. I express my opinions. But my policy is to put out all the information and let people decipher and discern for themselves what they want to believe. See, I just put it out there. I put the truth out there. I put, the information that I have out there. And I don't try to, pressure anyone into believing the way I believe or believing the way that I want them to believe. I put, like I say, I'm giving them this information for them to contemplate on and discern for themselves and take what they want, and take what they feel like is the truth to them out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm here listening, y'all. I'm just not saying much because, like I say, I'm a little tired. But I'm here trying to push through. I hope everybody's doing well in the family. I'm just chilling out, enjoying this wonderful day. It's a nice day so far today. Get the sun out, but down here in Georgia, it's going to rain sometime after lunch. So, y'all, like I say, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm watching y'all comments and everything. I like chime in every so often.
Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. We know Abel died, and Seth was born later. Cain was linked to being evil soon after he committed the first murder in the Bible. Seth was of the good seed, from which the prophets and Noah would come from. But the Bible clearly states that Cain was of the wicked one in 1 John 3:12. If Cain was of the wicked one, then it makes readers believe Cain was born or related to something evil. So, who is the wicked one the Bible is talking about? Satan or the devil is the wicked one, as seen in Matthew 13:37. So, were the ancient Dead Sea Scrolls right in saying that Cain was the seed of Samuel, Satan/Lucifer, and Eve? 1 John 3:12, not as Cain, who was of that wicked one and slew his brother. Matthew 13:37, he that swathed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. So in this scripture, it implies that the wicked one is Satan. So this would mean that Cain was of Satan and perhaps the seed of Satan and Eve. But this can only be possible if Satan did, in fact, infect mankind with his evil seed and thus infected Eve with an evil bloodline. The Bible lists Cain's bloodline, the Kenites, based on the Hebrew word for Cain, Cain, or Kajim, starting in Genesis 4:17. The Kenites made it through the flood as proof in 1 Chronicles 2:55. Among Cain's seed, you will find cattlemen, musicians, metalworkers, but not one farmer, as the curse of Cain said the ground of the earth would not yield any harvest. They would also be strangers and wanderers to every land they encountered. Let's look at the migration patterns of the Kenites. We see that some of the Kenites were connected with the Midianites, Africa, the Amalekites, grandson of Esau, in Edom, with the children of Judah in South Israel, North Israel in Samaria by way of the Syrian city called Hamath. Genesis 15:18. In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenites, and the Kenizzites, and the Cadmonites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Judges 1:16. And the children of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up out of the city of palm trees with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lieth south of Arad. And they went and dwelt among the people. 1 Samuel 15:6. And Saul said unto the Kenites, Go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For ye shewed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from the Amalekites. Well, Numbers 24:21. And he looked on the Kenites and took up this parable and said, Strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. Nevertheless, the Kenites shall be wasted until Asher shall carry thee away captive. Well, the king of Assyria did in fact take the Kenite people from their dwelling place and place them in the northern Israel cities called Samaria. 2 Kings 17:23 through 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Cutha, and from Ava, and from Hamath, modern day Syria, and from Sepharvaim, Iraq, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. 1 Chronicles 2:55. And the families of the scribes which dwelt at Jabez, the Tirathites, the Shimeathites, and Suchathites. These are the Kenites that came of Hamath, the father of the house of Reshab. In 1 Chronicles, the Kenites, despite not being Israelites, somehow found their way into the territory of Judah and his families. The Kenites seemed to get around from one place to another like a wanderer. Nomadic wanderers live in tents, never having an actually true place to call home. In Jeremiah 35:1 through 19, the scriptures explains how the Kenites of the house of Reshab bear a striking resemblance to the descendants of Cain, seed of the serpent. Remember in Genesis 4:11 through 12, Cain's seed was not supposed to be able to sow any seed or yield any harvest per God's curse for killing Abel. Cain's seed was also cursed to be a wanderer, vagabond, on earth as a stranger in every land that they would encounter. Read closely. Jeremiah 35, 1 through 11. The word which came unto Jeremiah from the Lord in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, saying, Go unto the house of the Rechabites, and speak unto them, and bring them into the house of the Lord, into one of the chambers, and give them wine to drink. Then I took Jazaniah, the son of Jeremiah, not the prophet, the son of Habazinia, and his brethren, and all his sons, and the whole house of the Rechabites. And I brought them into the house of the Lord, into the chamber of the sons of Hanan, the son of Igaliah, a man of God, which was by the chamber of Messiah, the son of Shallum, the keeper of the door. And I set before the sons of the house of the Rechabites pots full of wine and cups. And I said unto them, Drink ye wine. But they said, We will drink no wine. For Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, commanded us, saying, Ye shall drink no wine, neither ye nor your sons forever. Neither shall ye build a house, nor sow seed, nor plant vineyard, nor have any. But all of your days ye shall dwell in tents, that ye may live many days in the land where ye be strangers. Thus we have obeyed the voice of Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, in all that he hath charged us, to drink no wine all our days, we, our wives, our sons, nor our daughters, nor to build houses for us to dwell in. Neither have we vineyard, nor field, nor seed. But we have dwelt in tents, and have obeyed, and done according to all that Jonadab our father commanded us. But it came to pass, when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up into the land, that we said, Come, and let us go to Jerusalem, for fear of the army of the Chaldeans, and for fear of the army of the Syrians. So we dwell at Jerusalem. The Kenites were telling the truth, because during the siege of Jerusalem by the Babylon king Nebuchadnezzar, the Chaldeans did help capture Zedekiah, the king of Jerusalem, even slaying his sons in the process. 2 Kings 25, 5 through 7. And the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king Zedekiah and overtook him in the plains of Jericho, and all his army were scattered from him. So they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon to Riblah, and they gave judgment upon them. And they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him with fetter of brass, and carried him to Babylon. So the Kenites were told by Jonadab that they would never build a house, but live in tents as strangers in many lands. They were also told not to plant any seed. If a person doesn't plant any seed, then they surely cannot till the earth. This all sounds familiar to the curse that God put on Cain. In Genesis 4, Cain is cursed from the earth, never to sow seed, and to be a stranger/wanderer of the earth. In the dictionary, the word sow means to plant seeds. Vagabond means a person who wanders from place to place without a home. A fugitive is someone who moves from place to place. A person that is a vagabond or a fugitive doesn't have a home. Therefore, they live in tents like nomads. The Kenites lived in tents their whole lives, just like vagabonds and strangers in the many lands that they dwelled in. Genesis 4, 11 through 12. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforward yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. So, what is the coincidence that the Canaanites, or should we say Kenites, both share the same instructions as to what they can or cannot do? But there is something more. The Kenites were told by Jonadab to never drink wine. The only people in the Bible that were not supposed to drink wine were the Levite priest tribe. Leviticus 10:9. Do not drink wine, nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout all your generations. So this means that the only people that could share duties or be in the presence of the Levites in the tabernacle had to be a people who didn't drink any wine. Some people believe that Jeremiah 35 describes the test that was given to the Kenites, house of Reshab, that promoted them to the status of Levitical servants or strangers to service. After Jeremiah 35, the Kenites seem to disappear from the Bible. Then we see a people called the Nethinims appear mysteriously after the Babylonian captivity of the Israelites. These Nethinims could not show their father's house or their seed, nor could they prove that they were Israelites. Ezra 2:58 through 59. All the Nethinims and the children of Solomon's servants were 392, and these were they which went up from Tel Melah, Tel Harsha, Sherab, Adon, and Emer, but they could not show their father's house and their seed whether they were of Israel. When Ezra led some of the southern Israelite tribes exiled in Babylon to Jerusalem, there were no Levites to be found, but these Nethinim people were mysteriously on the scene without their Levite masters. Ezra 8:15, and I gathered them together to the river that runneth to Ahava, and there abode we in tents 3 days, and I viewed the people and the priests.
Family, I'm down. I just feel download another book. I just purchased it. It's called The African Origin of Modern Humanity. Okay, so as soon as I get all the information, everything put in, I'll be right back with that stream. Okay, my loves. So keep your eyes open. It won't be but a few seconds.